Boeing is pleading guilty to criminal conspiracy in connection with two fatal crashes of its 737 MAX jetliner. Those crashes took more than 300 lives. Now, of course, it's a bit of a black day for the storied US plane maker, but it does avoid a bruising courtroom confrontation. Our guest says reaching this plea deal will allow the company to pivot to the future. We're joined by Anita Mendiratta, aviation leadership advisor and author of The Call to Leadership. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Anita.
Thank you so very much.
So obviously Boeing wants to put this behind it as rapidly as possible. And the CEO himself is due to step down fairly shortly.
Indeed. And as they say, it's always darkest before the dawn. And this is Dave Calhoun, the CEO's opportunity to bring a new dawn for Boeing and for the entire aviation industry globally.
There is a sort of a legal thing here that it could threaten Boeing's enormously lucrative business with the Pentagon, but it seems unlikely the Pentagon would cut Boeing off. I mean, with so much equipment installed and in operation right now.
Indeed. I think you make a very important point, because it's not only about Boeing and the Pentagon, it's Boeing and all of us, quite honestly, because 4 out of 10 aircraft that we see in the sky that are commercial are Boeing aircraft.
Wow.
And we've already seen that in the past year, the pressure on deliveries, the slowness of effectively the aircraft being able to roll out to the airlines has already put 17% of global airlines under pressure in terms of being grounded. So all of us are seeing it in terms of lack of capacity, increased air costs. All of this is impacting all of us directly, not just the Pentagon and not just the airlines.
That's an interesting point. Just going back to the negligence that the company is admitting to here, I mean, more than 300 lives were lost. Will anyone go to jail here?
I think that's an important question. I think someone in terms of reputational damage and court of public opinion has already gone to jail, and that being the CEO. We are yet to be seen who is to be held accountable and the degree of the fines. The numbers are still moving around, and this is still a little bit of a way in terms of being fully resolved. But I think importantly, this is Boeing's opportunity. This is Dave Calhoun's opportunity. Through any crisis, any leader has the opportunity to either continue to put the focus on the spotlight on what has gone wrong, or demonstrate how they're going to make it right. And that includes to the families of the 346 victims. So this is really an opportunity for the CEO to step forward and step up, face and own the challenge that they now have, and own the responsibility they have to building back all of our trust, especially the lives of the victims that have been taken. This can be their legacy in ultimately Boeing and aviation becoming stronger and safer because of what's happened in the past, and making sure that those names are not lost in vain. But Dave Calhoun is the name that we need to focus on, and he needs to focus on his call to leadership to make it clear that, again, there can be very strong times for the industry ahead, which he owes, quite honestly, because everyone has suffered across the entire ecosystem.
Just to go back, though, to this question of should there be custodial sentences. I mean, Oliver Schmidt, a German engineer, was jailed by America over the emissions scandal. He served about a bit more than half of his sentence. Now, the emissions scandal at Volkswagen would have indirectly killed people with polluted air, I guess. But we know that more than 300 people died in these Boeing crashes. Shouldn't somebody have to spend some time in jail for it? Will the public be satisfied?
I think importantly, should someone, the question is whom, and will the public be satisfied? They will never be satisfied. I mean, anyone who has lost a life, who has seen a family member or a close friend lost through, especially an incident like this, that is very dramatic and very painful, will never be satisfied, no matter what the number is. And no matter what the action is taken, because that person is gone. And this is where, again, it's up to the leader to own that, to recognize we need to make sure that these people's names, that their lives are not lost in vain. And how is that going to happen? Making sure that global aviation is genuinely safe and secure for everyone who gets on an aircraft and trusts that they'll be taken safely to where they need to be. So will someone need to fall on the sword? There's no question. And that's up to the legal system to take care of. Our hearts need to go out to those who have lost those lives through this process. But at the same time, there are 170,000 employees that work for Boeing. Wow. They have lost love and trust in their company. They need to heal. Investors have suffered. Customers have suffered. We as passengers. So Boeing has an opportunity to really lead the healing and the re-excitement around global aviation and why we can trust one of the greatest manufacturers in the world for innovation and stability and safety in aviation once again. They need to prove it, not just say it, and all eyes will be watching Boeing and what happens in the next 1,000 days, especially.